Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Fegan, and I love reading books, but I also just love buying books. The joy, the serotonin it gives me to just own new books, unparalleled. Book hauls are a video I love to watch on BookTube, but I don't usually buy a lot of books at once. I don't often have just like the money to drop on like enough books that would merit a book haul, but just in the past few months I have finally accumulated enough books that I haven't read yet that I would like to share with all of you. Also, as you can tell from the title, I got a couple records that I'm going to share with you first because I only have two of them. So I saw Alex G in concert in Columbus, and I had a couple hours just like to kill before the concert started, and there was this record store called Used Kids Records that a friend recommended to me, so I went in. I only had like 30 minutes or so. I feel like I would have come out of there with like so many more if I had more time, which is probably a good thing for my wallet. So the first one I got is Nepenthe by Juliana Barwick. This is my favorite ambient album of all time. I found it for $13, which was insane. We currently own a record player that either has never been used or is definitely broken. So like we own some records but like don't actively play them, but I really want to actually get into playing a record. We play CDs sometimes, but I don't know, there's just something about like putting a vinyl down on a record player and playing it. So I feel like this is one I'm very excited to actually get to listen to because it's like just so all-enveloping and beautiful. Love this album. And the next one I have is Today by Galaxy 500. Both this and On Fire are just like wonderful dream pop albums. This one was only 18 bucks, which again, for records isn't too bad. I try to only buy either like cheap or used vinyl just because like I don't really need to spend like $35 on something that I'm not actually even sure I'm going to play physically, at least not yet. But I was very excited to see this for not too expensive, and those are the records I got. Now moving on to the books. Obviously I haven't read any of these books, so I can tell you why I got them, but I can't give any kind of substantive, any kind of review, anything. But first, a couple months back, the way I usually buy books is through used bookstores on Amazon. So like you can go to a book and then it shows you like there are 121 options from used, and then like some random used bookstore in like Kansas is selling this book for $2, and that's usually how I buy my books. So all of these were like used copies that were like new or in very good condition from random places across the country. So up first we have Stoner by John Williams. What I know about Stoner by John Williams is that everyone I know loves it, and it is like a modern classic that does not get the love it deserves. Like, I don't think people out in the world know what this is, but somehow like everyone I know on the internet knows and loves this book. It seems to be somewhat about like life crises and like disappointment and like kind of growing up and just like, I don't know, life isn't what you expected it to be. I don't know. This just seemed really interesting, and again, I've only heard like the best things about this, so I'm gonna maybe try to get to this before the year is over, but we'll see. Then I got The Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector. She is an author I have been really interested in trying out, and I really don't know a lot about her except that like her stuff gets, I think, a little weird some of the time. Yeah, this is described like spectral beauty, a sense of form and content, dancing a slow and skillful waltz with each other, whatever. She's described on the back as that rare person who looked like Marlene Dietrich and wrote like Virginia Woolf, which like, you've piqued my interest. You've got me, I'm hooked. This is very short. Someone actually told me this is like not a good place to start with for her stuff, but it's what I own, so it's gonna be the first one of hers I read, so we'll see what I think. And the last one I got from that mini haul back in September is Hotel World by Ali Smith. A few things about this book. One, I have this friend, Kate, who like our reading tastes just like perfectly align. If I see that she has liked something, I like immediately wishlist it. I know I'm gonna like it. Like, I feel like there have been very, very few books in the world where our tastes do not align. So I saw that she loved this and I was like, I'm in, I'm hooked, I'm there. And secondly, I don't think this is Ali Smith's biggest book. She has like this seasonal series. I think she has like a book for each season that are like linked, and I think some of those might be bigger, but I'm obsessed with hotels. I love movies about hotels, I love books about hotels. There's another book in this haul that takes place in a hotel. So I saw this, I saw that Kate liked it, and I was like, that's it. I'm buying Hotel World and I'm seeing what this is all about. I've heard this is also kind of Wolfian. It follows a few people kind of a la The Waves. So yeah, I just feel like this is gonna ruin me based on everything I have heard about it. The next thing I want to share with you is not a book, but it is something I technically purchased, and that is Lost Protocol Volume 1 by Julian Baker. So Julian Baker was on tour this year. I did not get to see her, but I'm in like a Julian Baker Facebook group and found out about this zine, and at first she was not selling it online. Now she's selling it online online, and also you can read the PDF for free. But at first I was like, I need to get my hands on this because I love Julien Baker so much, and so I had someone who was going to a concert buy it and send it to me, and then I Venmo'd them. That is the dedication I had with getting my hands on this. So the first 15 pages or so of this are Julien Baker writing about her time, her various times in rehab. A lot of her music is about addiction and mental health and like just struggling through life, and I feel like this is the most candid she has ever been about those topics, in a way that was like completely harrowing but also beautiful. She's obviously an amazing lyricist and just like an incredible writer. In the second half are drawings and cartoons she did at like the beginning of the pandemic. They're loosely narrated. I love this little version because you kind of have to like read in close to actually get the words. And she's an incredible artist. Like, I feel like there's nothing this woman can't do. If you were a fan of Julien Baker's, again, this is free to read as a PDF. You just Google Lost Protocol Volume 1 Julien Baker, it comes up. Very quick read, very beautiful, like huge content warning for addiction. This goes heavily into that topic and alcoholism and being in rehab and inpatient facilities, so just like, warning if you do check this out, but it was incredible and the only thing of this haul I've actively read. Then I was home in New York for a little bit and I went to Barnes & Noble twice. And the first time I got 3 books. First I got Little Boy by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. I, was like just going along the fiction wall as you do when you're in Barnes & Noble, and I saw his name, which was surprising because Ferlinghetti is my favorite poet, and I was like, I didn't know this man had ever written a novel. So I picked this up and bought it without like knowing anything about it really. I went home and saw that like the Goodreads ratings aren't incredible or whatever. It's like not one of his most popular books, but whatever, I will read anything this man writes, and I was just very intrigued. I do feel like his poetic style would translate well to prose or to a novel. It's very heavy on storytelling, and I just like the worlds he constructs in his poems. So yeah, now I own this and will read it sometime. My haul was very poetry themed because the other 2 books I got were just poetry books, and I got, and I'm gonna mispronounce this, Dunio Elegies by Rainer Maria Rilke. I watch, Emmy is one of my favorite YouTubers, and she was literally just talking about this, and I made a mental note to like remember how she pronounced it, and just all of that knowledge has completely left the brain. I read Letters to a Young Poet earlier this year, and I thought that Rilke has just such a way with words, and I've never read any of his actual poetry. I've only read those letters, so I'm excited to actually read some of his poetry and see what that's all about. So yeah. And then another poet who I have read this year and picked up another book by them, this is Bright Dead Things by Ada Limon. I read The Carrying, I think is what it's called, earlier this year and quite enjoyed it. And yeah, she is probably just one of my favorite modern contemporary poets. I really love the stuff she does. I love her themes. I love her way with words, and so I saw this. It wasn't too expensive, and so I got it. And then I went to Barnes & Noble one more time. Just pure capitalism, like, fueling my actions this holiday season. And I got more books, and these are the final, five books of this haul. So first, I actually have started reading this because I started on the train back home, and that is Housekeeping by Marilynne Robinson. This is another book that I saw my friend Kate loving, and I was like, all right, time to pick it up, and so I did. It's funny, this cover kind of has like Oprah's book club vibes, but this is like another like modern classic from, what is it, 1980? Let's keep flipping. Let's stay here while I flip. Yes, originally published in 1980. I started this right after I finished 100 Years of Solitude, which was funny because this is also kind of like not like a generational story, but it's about these 2 girls who are now going to live with, who are now living with their grandmother because their mother dropped them off and then like drove off a cliff, thus killing herself. And I feel like it's so atmospheric. It's haunting, not in a way that like, I don't think there's anything like ghosty, supernatural going on, but just like very chilling. The details were given about this family and like the tragedies that have befallen them. I'm really liking it so far. It's very good for this season because it feels very cold and icy, and so I'm excited to keep reading this, and so far I'd recommend it. That's all I got. I promised you another hotel book, and we have Hotel de Loc by Anita Bruckner, which, gotta be honest with you, I have no idea what this is about other than it's about a hotel. After I finished reading John by Annie Baker and A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles for a video earlier this year, both of which take place, well, one in a hotel, one in a bed and breakfast. I just like went through so many Goodreads lists and saw like highly rated books that take place in hotels. And then when I was going to Barnes & Noble, I wrote down like not just the hotel books, but like a bunch of books that were on my to-read list that I wanted to see if they were there. And this one was on my to-read list. it was one of the only ones at that Barnes & Noble, and so I've purchased it. Apparently this has won the Booker Prize, so like maybe I should actually know things about it, but this tells the story of Edith Hope, who writes romance novels under a pseudonym. When her life begins to resemble the plots of her own novels, however, Edith flees to Switzerland, where the quiet luxury of the Hotel de Lac promises to restore her to her senses. Yes please. I am here for this, I'm ready for this, I love hotels. I also love the font of this book. A font is a very important thing in a book. Speaking of fonts are very important to a book, next I have Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. The font is just really nice in this book. I really enjoyed If on a Winter's Night a Travel and If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, and I've really wanted to check out more of his stuff ever since I read that, and so again, this was there, just sitting neat and pretty at my local Barnes & Noble, and I was like, it's time to pick up more from him. Plus the quote on the back of this is absolutely sick. Cities, like dreams, are made of desires and fears, even if the thread of their discourse is secret. The rules are absurd, the perspectives delightful, and everything conceals something else. So yeah, I'm on board. The next one I picked up is also kind of a wild card, and that is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which I believe was published in 2020. I didn't actually know that when I went into wanting to buy this, but yeah, this was published last year, so look at me buying a book from the 21st century. I picked this up because Erin Morgenstern, the author of The Night Circus and The Starless Sea, is my favorite current author. She's my favorite fantasy author, my favorite current author. She's one of the only authors who I will pick up immediately anything they write. I think her books are so magical and atmospheric, and I saw someone recommend this book for fans of her books. It's also about a building. I guess I really like stuff about buildings too, because I love House of Leaves, which is not about a hotel, but is about a house, and the back of this starts, Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls lined with thousands upon thousands of statues. So I guess this is for like the mix of House of Leaves and Erin Morgenstern fan in my heart. This just sounds like it's very close to my sensibilities, and I'm excited to pick this up. I feel like in the future I'm gonna be a fantasy girl. Like, not high fantasy, but like this kind of like very magical weirdness fantasy. If you have recommendations that sound like this, or if you've read any of Erin Morgenstern's books and you know stuff like hers, let me know, because I kind of like that very like magical, ethereal type fantasy. And the final book I have might actually be the one I'm most excited for, just because I have a friend, David, who has recommended this to me a ton, and just everything about it sounds awesome, and that is The Brothers K by David James Duncan, and not The Brothers Karamazov, but The Brothers K. So from what I know, this is about like a failed baseball star, a father who dreams of glory on a baseball field are shattered by a mill accident, a mother who clings obsessively to religion as a ward against the darkest hour of her past, four brothers who come of age during the seismic upheavals of the 60s and who each choose their own way to deal with what the world has become. So this is kind of long, but I love baseball, and just everything about this seems amazing. I do think I'm going to save this until after I read The Brothers Karamazov, because obviously this must be inspired in some way thematically or plot-wise by that book, and I'm reading that next year, so this is on like the short list of things to read, but like immediately after I read The Brothers Karamazov, because I feel like having read that first, that'll probably be a better reading order than reading this first and then that. So those are my books. Those are my new books. I love owning new books. I have no room on my bookshelf. I joke every single time I make a video in front of this bookshelf that it's a tiny little bookshelf, and like you see this stack, you just saw this stack. There's literally like no room, so we're gonna figure something out. I don't know what it is I'm gonna figure out. I probably have to buy a bigger bookshelf, but that's fine because that just incentivizes me to buy more books. Thank you so much for watching. I know I can't really do a good job of describing these books because I haven't read them yet, but hopefully you enjoyed watching this. And if you, as always, have any recommendations for me based on any of the sensibilities I have just described to you in this video, please leave them below, because as we all know, I like checking out new books. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and you will see me in the next one.